Next we pick up queen 10 of hearts in the cutoff. The under the gun player blind raises at 25. I raise to 70. The under the gun player calls with pocket 8s. And we get a great flop. It's queen 5 deuce with 2 hearts. We've got top pair and a flush draw to go with it. The opponent checks. I put out a small bet of 55. This induces a bluff from Kevin, who's been very active since he came into the game late. He makes it 125. I call for 70 more, and the turn is a 6. Now the player checks, so I figure I probably have the best hand, but if not, I should have plenty of outs. I bet 200, then Kevin calls pretty quickly.
I wonder if Brad thinks he's ahead or behind now. He knows he has a ton of equity, but
yeah.
I wonder if he thinks he's currently ahead.
When Kevin checks so quickly on the turn, he may think he is ahead.
I think we're just going to see check, though.
Brad could go for some thin value against a guy who likes to call.
Kevin checks the river, and I'm on the fence about what I should do. That's when I get what I perceive to be a live tell. It's very tough to hear since there's commentary over it, but if you listen closely, you'll hear Kevin say, "I got you beat." I'm going to play it again.
I think we're just going to see check, though.
Brad could go for some thin value against a guy who likes to call.
You may notice the player in between Andrew and I hears it, and he reacts by swiveling his head to see what I'll do. I feel like the opponent is trying to induce a check from me because he probably has a marginal hand that has some value and wants to get the showdown for free. That verbal tell pushes me over the edge and gives me the confidence to go for thin value on the river.
He's doing it.
He has.
This is nice.
He's seen Kevin call really light before. Bam, and he gets snap call.
That was nice by Brad. Well played.
Shows the 8s.
He knew to go for value on the turn and river after getting check raised.
It's so maybe he thought like the 6 was a card that turned a heart on a showdownable hand or something like that for Kevin, because I don't know how he thinks he can get value. What he's supposed to get called by that check raised him on the flop, except things that turned into value on the turn, right?
So unfair.
Yeah, that was really good. A lot of people are going to check at least one of those 2 streets.
Yeah.
So we pick up queen 10 offsuit on the button. Under the gun +1 opens to 60. He seems like a competent player, but what's interesting about him is that when he was setting his chips down on the table to enter the game, he saw we were all straddling for $40 under the gun, and he picked up to leave because he didn't want to play a game that was 10, 20, 40. That's a big tell that he's not comfortable playing for larger amounts. Having that information makes me want to stretch out my range a little wider than normal. I call the 60 knowing that I'll be in position on the pre-flop aggressor, and I can put him in some tough spots. The big blind also calls. 3 of us are in the mix. The dealer puts out queen 5-3 with 2 diamonds. We have top pair. The big blind checks. Under the gun +1 checks. Okay, I probably have the best hand. I bet 120 for value. The big blind folds. Under the gun +1, check raises to 400. I don't get the sense at all that he has a very strong hand. Maybe he's turning ace-jack or a king-jack of hearts type of hand into a bluff and is trying to get me to fold something like 8s or 9s. I have the queen, so there's only one combination for a set of queens that he could have. And I don't think that someone who's concerned about playing this big will necessarily be opening from early position with 5s or 3s. I call for 280 more. We're heads up. The turn is the deuce of hearts. Under the gun +1 slows down and checks. This makes me even more suspicious that he has a hand with little or no showdown value. If he happens to be strong, I don't want to bet, and if he's weak, then I'll just get the showdown cheaply from here for the win. I check back. The river is the ace of spades. This is a terrible card because if he bluff raised with some kind of strange ace-high hand, he now has the winner. It looks like he did connect with the ace because he puts out a blocker bet of 540. This feels very similar to the type of bet that I faced earlier when I turned my 10-8 of clubs into a bluff. This guy probably doesn't know where he's at, and he seems afraid. He has 2,000 behind, and I already know from the moment he sat down that he doesn't want to play big pots. There's no way that he'll have ace-4 after checking the turn on a wet board. I don't want to call with my relatively weak queen. Instead, I bring its biggest fear to reality. Just seconds after announcing I'm all in, the player lets his cards go. We use all the information that we've gathered since before the opponent even got dealt a hand, and we use it against him to steal a big pot. We've got queen 10 offsuit in the big blind. Under the gun +1 raises to 30. The hijack calls. He's a player named Cody who has a big stack. I played with him a few times before. I call for 20 more. We're going 3 ways to the flop, out of position. It comes 10-8-8 with 2 diamonds. We've got top pair and some backdoor draws. I check. Under the gun +1 bets 30 again. It's a small sizing. The hijack calls. He could have a variety of hands including a flush draw, straight draw, or a 10. He may have raised with trips to avoid allowing 2 opponents the opportunity to get to the turn for cheap. I call. All 3 of us are still in the hand. The turn is the ace of hearts. I check. Under the gun +1 slows down. He checks. This opens up the door for the hijack. He bets 110. Ordinarily, queen 10 should just be a fold. We've been downgraded and have 2 opponents in the hand. One thing that I haven't done today is put in a big bluff attempt though. Seems fun. I check raise to 350. I know that the hijack is an aggressive player who I just saw bet and fold to a raise in a similar spot earlier on in the session. I can have plenty of hands containing an 8. I can have pocket 10s, 10-8, and ace-10, which I have removal for, and hands like ace-8. Under the gun +1 folds. The hijack isn't letting me have this one. He calls for 240 more. Maybe he's trapping me with a monster like ace-8 or 10-8 of spades, but it seems more likely that he has a flush draw with the ace of diamonds. There are a lot of river cards that I'm going to be shoving. We're heads up, and the dealer puts out the 9 of hearts. I like it because Queen Jack is a hand that I may have turned into a bluff on the previous street that now improves to a straight. I had the Queen of Diamonds in my hand, blocking my opponent from having a monster draw on the turn with Queen Jack of Diamonds. I'm set up well for a bluff shove with 1080 in my stack. I rip it in, and I've never been called faster in my life. The hijack immediately shows ace-8 offsuit. He turned a full house. I make really my first undisciplined play of the session, and it's extremely costly for me. If I hadn't been at the tail end of an already grueling 9-hour session, I would have made an easy turn fold. Instead, I misstep and bluff off my entire stack. I'm not ready to leave though. We pick up Queen 10 offsuit on the button. This is good enough to open with. I'm in raise at 200,000. Chris is in the big blind with a hand that he may want to play. He inquires about how much I started with. Perhaps he's contemplating a shove. Ultimately, Chris grabs chips and just calls. We're heads up in position. The flop comes King 9 rainbow. We've got a gutter, and in general I feel pretty good about this flop, though Chris would have called from the big blind with any king in his hand, aside from the better ones that he would have 3-bet jammed with. The opponent checks. We've only got 15 big blinds left in the stack. Every pot is significant for us. I put out a small c-bet of 150,000. It's just over a quarter of the pot. This gives us an opportunity to fold out some equity or build a pot in case we're able to drill a jack. A queen or 10 may give us the best hand as well, if we're not already in the lead. Chris isn't going to let us take it down without a battle. He makes the call, not what I wanted to see. The turn is the 3 of spades. It's a brick. The big blind checks. I made such a small bet on the flop that the opponent could have called with a variety of hands that aren't that strong, but have me beat, like ace-high hands, queen jack, and maybe even some pocket pairs below a 9. This pot is getting large relative to the size of my stack. I don't want to bet and have to fold to an all-in, but I think there's a good chance that I can take it down by continuing to apply pressure. At least, I hope that's the case. There's also a chance that I'm getting trapped by trips. We'll find out soon because I'm about to swing for the fences.
Second barrel, more costly, much harder to find. Get the guts up to do it, especially on your short stack, but wow, just all in instead.
That is a second bullet and a sigh of relief from Brad Owen. The WPT ambassador gets one through.
Our play works out. We get ace-4 offsuit to fold, and the stack climbs over the 2 million mark. The momentum is back, and I'm not out of this yet. I'm only a double up away from second place. Here we've got Queen 10 offsuit in the big blind. We're still playing 6-handed. The button raises to 75. He's the player that folded trip 4s to us earlier. Our hand is defendable. I call for 50 more. We're heads up out of position. The flop comes Queen 8-6 with 2 diamonds. We've got top pair and some backdoor draws. I check to the pre-flop raiser. It's something I'll almost always do when playing from out of position. The button likes the flop enough to put extra money in the pot. He bets 125. It's kind of a large amount, being almost the size of the pot. There's no other option that's all that sensible. I call to see what develops on the turn. The dealer puts out the 6 of hearts, pairing the board. Usually when the bottom card pairs, that'll be better for us as the pre-flop caller. I check, hoping the second 6 will slow down the button. It doesn't. The opponent bets 325. It definitely feels like he's coming after me with vengeance on his mind after we beat him with ace-4. Still, he could have an overpair, a full house, trip 6s, or maybe just a big draw. We already called a large bet from him on the flop, but that didn't seem to scare him. I'm not sure if we're ahead or behind. I have to hang in there, flying blind though. I call once again, really not wanting to see another diamond or overcard. The river's the 5 of clubs. It's a blank other than the fact that some straights get there. I check. I'm not sure I can call another bet if the button fires big like he's been doing throughout the hand up to this point. The button is at least considering unloading the clip. Eventually he checks back. We show our top pair. It's the best hand. The opponent mucks without showing. We win another one that I wasn't necessarily sure about. The runouts have allowed us to have the best hand at showdown in all the significant pots so far. I pick up Queen 10 offsuit in the small blind. I limp in for 20,000, which I'm going to do with quite a few combos from our stack depth of roughly 19 big blinds. Cabral's in the big blind. He's been concurrently running up a big stack and running his mouth. I actually think it's pretty funny to witness his shenanigans firsthand, but I can see that the people who play with him regularly aren't as amused. Cabral raises to 65,000. I call, we're heads up, out of position. The flop comes queen 8-8. We've got top pair and a decent kicker. I check to the pre-flop aggressor. The big blind bets 50,000. We only have 310,000 total. I'm confident that we've got the best hand. I'm considering calling to allow Cabral the chance to continue bluffing if he's got air. We don't need tons of protection since there are only 2 overs to be worried about, and we've got removal to straight draws. Still, we don't have much more. I jam to potentially get called by a variety of worse holdings, including even ace and king highs. Cabral goes deep into thought. We definitely have him beat. If he had a queen or better, he'd call quickly because it isn't a ton more for him and he's got a big stack. I'd be totally fine with a call now that I've seen him take this long for a decision. We have to be careful what we wish for because Cabral makes the call, we're at risk, and actually in desperate need of help.
Oh wow, you have me crushed.
That's good. But I wish you good luck. Maybe 8-4 chop. Alex, can you do that?
Alex can do more than that. He puts the 10 right on the turn for us to steal the lead against ace-queen. We just need to avoid an ace, queen, or 8 as Cabral continues pleading with the dealer.
Alex, can you do that for a chop? Yes. Alex?
Wow.
I said chop. Wait, I win, yeah? Nope. I have 2 pair ace kicker.
He has queen turn.
I was prepared to head for the exit with disappointment after seeing that we were dominated, but instead, we got bailed out big time to get the double up and stay alive. It was going to be kind of a cooler either way, blind versus blind. I'm glad that we fall on the right side of it. With the win, we've got nearly 4 times starting stack. Cabral has some advice for what to include in the vlog.
So, do the video and say how terrible you played. Just say that. Selfie video. And then I say, like, you're telling the truth or not.
How, you just tell him how bad I played.
No. Say the truth. Say the truth. Say the truth to your guys. Just say that and I confirm. Just say that.
Cabral's annoyed that we beat him in a big pot. He better get used to it because we're going to continue with that trend.